50. Renan Barrow vs TJ Dillashaw. Career decline, facial damage. 49. Shogun Rua vs Jon Jones. Code, body trauma. 48. Gilbert Melendez vs Jeremy Stevens. Leg kicks caused hematoma. 47. Vitor Belfort vs Anderson Silva. KO by front kick, jaw trauma. 46. Robbie Lawler vs Nico Price. Emotional retirement, facial cuts. 45. Cain Velasquez vs Fabricio Werdum. Altitude sickness, exhaustion. 44. Daniel Cormier vs Stipe Miocic 3. Eye poke, vision issues. 43. Alexander Gustafsson vs Jon Jones 2. Code, shoulder injury. 42. Paddy Pimblett vs Jared Gordon. Ankle injury post-fight. 41. Dominic Cruz vs Marlon Vera. Code in hometown, nose injury. 40. Tony Ferguson vs Bobby Green. 6th straight loss, facial damage. 39. Kamaru Usman vs Colby Covington. Broken jaw for Covington. 38. Sean O'Malley vs Andre Suckham. Foot injury mid-fight. 37. Holly Holm vs Amanda Nunes. KO by head kick, orbital damage. 36. Darren Till vs Jorge Masvidal. Code in hometown, concussion. 35. BJ Penn vs Frankie Edgar 3. One-sided beatdown, career end. 34. Cain Velasquez vs Francis Ngannou. Knee injury during KO. 33. Luke Rockhold vs Paulo Costa. Exhaustion, bloodied face. 32. Chris Weidman vs Yoel Romero. KO by flying knee, facial cuts. 31. Anthony Smith vs Glover Teixeira. Lost teeth mid-fight. 30. Diego Sanchez vs Matt Brown. Brutal elbow KO, facial trauma. 29. Anderson Silva vs Jared Cannonier. Knee injury from leg kick. 28. Michael Chandler vs Brent Primus. Foot nerve injury mid-fight. 27. Nate Diaz vs Jorge Masvidal. Eyebrow cut led to doctor stoppage. 26. Tony Ferguson vs Justin Gaethje. Orbital damage, career altering. 25. Brian Ortega vs Max Holloway. Orbital fracture, doctor stoppage. 24. Joanna Jędrzejczyk vs Zhang Weili. Hematoma disfigured face. 23. Rory McDonald vs Robbie Lawler 2. Broken nose, severe facial trauma. 22. Dominic Cruz vs Cody Garbrandt. Cruz fought with plantar fasciitis. 21. Thiago Santos vs Jon Jones. Torn ACL, McLiddle, PCL mid-fight. 20. James Irvin vs Anderson Silva. Knee injury on missed kick. 19. Kevin Randleman vs Fedor Emelianenko. Neck slam, survived. 18. Charles Oliveira vs Max Holloway. Oliveira suffered esophageal tear. 17. Magomed Ankalaev vs Paul Craig. Ankalaev code after ankle injury. 16. Joe Lauzon vs Jamie Varner. Varner broke ankle mid-fight. 15. Mirko Cro Cop vs Gabriel Gonzaga. Cro Cop's leg twisted unnaturally. 14. Kazushi Sakuraba vs Wanderlei Silva. Orbital bone fracture. 13. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira vs Bob Sapp. Neck injury from slam. 12. Tim Hague vs Miodrag Perkovic. Hague died from brain trauma. 11. Matt Hamill vs Jon Jones. Dislocated shoulder from elbows. 10. Alan Belcher vs Rousimar Palhares. Near leg break from heel hook. 9. Evangelista Santos vs Michael Page. Skull fractured by flying knee. 8. Ronda Rousey vs Miesha Tate. Tate's arm broken in armbar. 7. Leslie Smith vs Jessica Eye. Smith's ear exploded mid-fight. 6. Jon Jones vs Chael Sonnen. Jones broke toe through skin. 5. Frank Mir vs Minotauro Nogueira. Arm broken in kimura. 4. Frank Mir vs Tim Sylvia. Arm snapped via armbar. 3. Chris Weidman vs Uriah Hall. Leg break identical to Silva's. 2. Corey Hill vs Dale Hartt. Tibia and fibula snapped. 1. Anderson Silva vs Chris Weidman. Silva's leg snapped on kick.